The salvage yards of Kepler 442b were a graveyard of forgotten wars. Twisted metal hulks and shattered warships stretched across the rust-colored desert like the bones of giants. It was here, among the debris of 1,000 conflicts, that Jake Torrin made his living, a human scavenger picking through the refuse of galactic civilization. Jake wiped the sweat from his brow as he climbed through the skeletal remains of a Vraxian dreadnought. His scanner beeped intermittently, searching for anything valuable enough to trade at the orbital station. That's when he heard it, a low, rattling growl that made his spine straighten. He turned slowly, hand moving to the plasma cutter at his belt. In the shadow of a collapsed bulkhead, something massive stirred. 6 blood-red eyes opened in the darkness, each the size of Jake's fist. The creature that emerged made him take an involuntary step back. It was enormous, easily 3 meters at the shoulder, with a body that seemed cobbled together from nightmares. Chitinous plates covered its flanks, scarred and cracked from countless battles. 4 powerful legs ended in claws that could rend steel, and its elongated skull bristled with horn-like protrusions. Cables and ancient cybernetic implants jutted from its spine, long dead and corroded. Its skin was a mottled gray-black, stretched tight over visible muscle and bone. The creature, a Rookthal war beast, Jake realized with a jolt, swayed on its feet. One of its legs was clearly injured, and a deep gash ran along its ribcage, poorly healed and infected. It growled again, but the sound was weak, desperate rather than threatening. Most sentient species would have run. The Rookthal were legendary, ancient biological weapons engineered by the long-dead architect species to be perfect killers. They had terrorized the galaxy for millennia before their creators vanished. The few remaining specimens were kept in maximum security containment or destroyed on sight. Jake should have called it in. Should have let the Galactic Council's extermination teams handle it. Instead, he slowly crouched down, making himself smaller. "Easy there, big guy," he murmured. "You look like you've had a rough time." The Rookthal's eyes focused on him, and Jake saw something he didn't expect. Intelligence. Not the mindless killing machine the stories described, but awareness, pain, loneliness. He reached into his pack and pulled out a ration bar. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. He tossed it gently toward the creature. The Rookthal sniffed it cautiously, then devoured it in one snap of its massive jaws. "Yeah, I figured you were hungry," Jake said softly. He pulled out another bar, then another, feeding the ancient war beast until his supplies ran empty. Over the following days, Jake returned to the wreckage. Each time he brought food, water, and medical supplies scavenged from the ruins. The Rookthal, he'd started calling it Rook in his head, began to anticipate his visits. The growls turned to something almost like purring, a deep rumble that vibrated through Jake's chest when he got close enough to treat its wounds. The other scavengers thought he was insane. When word spread to the orbital station, the response was swift and severe. Commander Thelzira of the Galactic Peacekeepers arrived personally, her 8-foot insectoid frame bristling with authority. "Human Torrin, you are harboring a Class 7 biological weapon. This creature must be terminated immediately." Jake stood between her armed squad and the salvage yard, arms crossed. "No, this is not negotiable. The Rookthal are engineered killers. It could turn on you at any moment." Jake corrected. "And he won't. Look, I've been feeding him for 3 weeks now. If he wanted to kill me, I'd be dead. Your species' tendency toward reckless behavior is well documented." Thelzira clicked. "But this exceeds all rational—" A thunderous roar cut her off. Rookthal emerged from the wreckage, his massive form backlit by the setting sun. The peacekeepers raised their weapons, but Jake held up a hand. "Wait." Rookthal approached slowly, his red eyes fixed on the armed soldiers. But as he reached Jake, the war beast simply sat, leaning his enormous scarred head against the human's shoulder. Jake reached up and scratched behind one of Rookthal's horn-like protrusions. The creature's eyes half-closed in contentment. Commander Thelzira's mandibles clicked in what might have been astonishment. "Impossible. The Rookthal do not bond. They cannot bond." "Maybe nobody tried," Jake said simply. "Maybe they just needed someone who saw them as something other than weapons." The standoff lasted hours. Jake refused to move, and Rookthal refused to leave his side. Eventually, after numerous calls to Council headquarters and consultations with xenobiologists, Commander Thelzira made a decision that would ripple through the galaxy. "Against all logic and protocol, I am granting you provisional custody. But the creature, Rookthal, his name is Rookthal, Must be implanted with a tracker, and you will report for monthly evaluations. If there is even a hint of aggressive behavior, there won't be, and there wasn't. Jake and Rookthal became an inseparable team. The war beast's strength and Jake's ingenuity made them the most effective salvage operation on Kepler 442b. More than that, they became a symbol, proof that even the most fearsome weapons of war could find peace, could choose companionship over conflict. Other scavengers began reporting sightings of abandoned Rookthal across the galaxy. Slowly, carefully, more humans reached out. More bonds formed. The Galactic Council watched in bewildered fascination as humanity did what it did best: see past the monster to the being underneath, extending friendship where others saw only threat. In the rust-colored deserts of Kepler 442b, as twin moons rose over the salvage yards, Jake sat against Rookthal's massive flank, both watching the stars emerge. The war beast rumbled contentedly, a sound that once heralded death now signifying peace. "Good boy," Jake murmured, scratching behind those dangerous horns. "Who's a good boy?" 6 red eyes closed in blissful contentment. In the vast graveyard of forgotten wars, something new had been born. Not a weapon, but a friendship that would change the galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be human, and what it meant to be alive.